Looks like we're back.
Again, just in case it's not pre-recorded. To those who do not know what the hell happened, the stream decided to, well, not the stream, my internet decided to kill itself randomly. I had to reset, actually not my internet, my modem decided to kill itself randomly, so I had to reset it. We're back now, but it took a lot longer than I expected because apparently Ethernet connections have to be disconnected and reconnected to actually work. I don't understand why that is.
I don't think they have to. I think it just had a bug.
Weird. Regardless, we'll pick up where we left off.
Yep.
Hopefully people will know that, and hopefully the stream link doesn't change either.
Yeah, if this splits it up, I'll include a link to the previous stream, and same on the other one, I'll include a link to this stream. We'll see. Hopefully it kind of just stitches them together. So, we were discussing positioning XY coordinates in Gamemaker, or just in general programming languages. Your X, Y, and you can even see it down here. This is my current pixel that I'm on. If I move it up to the top left, it's 0, 0. So it's positive X this direction, positive Y this direction. You can't go negatives, but like, you don't really need to. That's good. Alright. Is this chat online? Doesn't look like it. Here, can you say something in chat?
Yeah.
You're back.
Hey, what's up? Say something.
Yes.
Alright, so
Did the whole internet just go out or something?
yeah, internet went out.
That sucks. Sorry I broke it.
Feel bad, man.
Those arrows destroyed your internet. Too powerful.
It did split it up. Okay, I figured it would.
Or you have 3 different video names for the same thing.
The first one should be stream 1 or session 1.
No, it's well, including the live version.
I'll have to look through some of them. Yes.
Segment test.
Pop out. Pop out the chat. Thanks.
Oh, look at that, we have 4 people watching now. Insane.
Oh my god, new record. Alright.
When drama hits.
They become an Alright, alright. Oh yeah, so we were talking about speed, direction, speed, velocity. I think I got that already. There's a few other variables that affect that as well, and that's your gravity. Let's just say 1. And your, I think gravity direction is a thing too, is it? It is, gravity direction. So default, I believe gravity is to the right, 0 direction. It could be straight down, but I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's straight to the right. So yeah, you can set it to 270, and that'll make it go downwards. I'm gonna set it to 0.36. I don't know.
Now, do remind you.
So, yeah, this is based on Amaranth.
This
Okay.
is acceleration.
Yes.
You can't just set it to 1 and expect it to work, because it's going to be like you flying across the screen at rapid speed.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, your resolution is, well, unless you make the screen really big.
Not necessarily. So this is the same as saying each frame v speed plus equals 0.39.
So don't get cheeky.
It's the same code.
So don't get cheeky and type in, oh, I'm gonna do like Earth gravity 9.82. It'll be gone by the moment that it exists.
Okay. Friction is also an interesting one. Friction is the opposite of gravity. Friction equals, I don't know, 1. So that means it's gonna take speed each frame and minus equals 1 each time. Just the plain out deaccelerate speed until it's 0. I mean, that's just useful for a couple of things. If you're having like a top-down kind of game, like a top-down, you know, you can use friction to kind of like make physics objects. whereas gravity would be more for like platformers. All right, cool stuff. Since I'm gonna be coding the thing afterwards, I'm actually gonna put this to 3.69 and gravity direction equals 270. Okay, I'm gonna use that for later. All right, a couple other built-in instance variables. We have ID. ID is the same as instance ID, whereas instance ID is just like a global variable with holding every single ID. So maybe these would equal the same. I don't know. You can't really tell. You'd have to compare them somehow. But anyways, ID holds the actual ID for the current instance. And this is pretty useful for a lot of things. You can, let's see. You can figure out what object it is based on ID. I don't know. There's a lot of uses for ID. Identification in general. Visible. Is it visible? Do you have any comments? No, we're good. Visible. So the only thing visible does is, from my understanding, is remove the sprite that is attached to it. An instance can be tagged as visible or not by setting it. Okay, it tells GameMaker to skip the draw event of the instance. So yeah, this is actually pretty huge. So if you set visible equal to false, nothing in the draw event will work. So like if you have processing code for some reason in the draw event, like forget about it. It's not running. But yeah, this can be useful here and there for like you can like deactivate or activate instances. I don't know. There's a different function for that, but I don't know. Visibility. There you go. Depth and layer. So in Gamemaker Studio 1.4 they have depth. But in Gamemaker Studio 2, they have layer. Or actually, they have both, technically. Layer, it's basically exactly how it sounds. You can create layers and be like, layer equals layer create. Depth of 10, name, we'll call it parts, because I'm mature. So yeah, this will create a new instance layer at depth 10. So for instance, if you have a layer at 20, that'll be behind this new layer. If you have a layer of -10, that'll be in front of this layer. Depth will modify the drawing order within the layer. So I can be like drawing depth 0, that'll draw in front of drawing depth 10, but it'll draw behind drawing depth -10, for instance. But yeah. Does that make a lot of sense, or is that confusing? Talk to me, Rulable.
It makes sense to me. It's just like, so the depth changes the order of the draw events,
Yeah.
each object or whatever, and then the layer, it just does the same thing as it was.
Yes,
It's
basically
just
the
like
same as
layering
depth,
each
but
one.
more organized.
Yeah. Okay.
In Gamemaker Studio 2, there's now a limit to depth, and I believe it's like -1,000,000 or something.
That's very limiting.
Yeah. Where is the limit? Alright, well I guess I can't search. Just look for the one high number, it's not this one. Warning. Note, you cannot. Okay, well it's somewhere in here talking about that. Because that was one of the problems we had originally, was we had our depth like to -1,000,000 or something. And it just refused to use the draw event for that object. Persistence. I spelled it wrong. Persistent. Oh. Whatever. This is another Boolean, true or false. Persistence, if true, means that if you switch rooms, the object will still exist. Normally when you switch rooms, it destroys every object within the room, so that it can load the next room correctly, or whatever.
It's like a background or if you wanted a character to stay within this particular. I guess if you like went through a door, perhaps.
Like in Super Metroid, Samus's character is probably a persistent one, because they probably just spawned it there and then teleported the position over there.
I see.
Or like the stats, like the HP is persistent, whatever variable
Yeah.
you have, the
Yeah,
score and all that stuff.
yeah. That'll keep everything in here good for next room. Yeah, okay. Object index. So object index and ID are kind of similar. ID is way more specific, whereas object index basically will return, in this case, object controller. It's just the ID of the actual index within Gamemaker Studio 2. For you.
I'm going to get some water.
Give me some too.
I don't really want water.
Oh, suck it. Give me some water. I'm your guest. You gotta give me water.
I
Okay.
have to crawl underneath the camera.
You don't have to.
This is not whatever.
Okay, object index. We basically went over it. So ID, the difference is it returns the unique instance ID. So like you could have 6 controllers, but each one's gonna have a different ID, but they're all gonna have the same object index. Good. Alright.
Alright, I'll start talking more now, because he's done.
Image index and mask index. So you'll notice on objects you can set a sprite for them. This is called the image index. So right now I set the image index to sprite square, but you can manually access it and edit it with image index. Sprite 0 or something. Sprite square. Whatever. Why is this not updating? Did I spell? What? Oh, it's. Anyways, I'm gonna set the mask index. I don't know. I'm gonna set it sprite square as well. So mask index is what other objects use to test if there's a successful collision. So if I did collision line for object controller, it would have to collide with sprite square, and I can, let's directly modify the mask. Instead of automatic, let's make it a full image, and let's make it an ellipse. There we go. So it has to collide with this mask in order for a trigger to be